Ethan's boots sank slightly into the soft alien soil as he stepped cautiously through the thick forest. The air was heavy with the scent of strange, blooming plants, and faint luminescent spores floated lazily around him, casting a dim green glow. He had been sent to explore this planet, known to humans as Zithera, to map its terrain and gather samples. Most of it seemed peaceful, but Ethan knew better than to trust appearances. Zithera had a reputation for sudden, hidden dangers. Suddenly, a soft cry pierced the forest. Ethan froze, listening. The sound was high-pitched but frightened, unlike any animal he had ever encountered. He scanned the trees, trying to locate the source. Then, between the twisted trunks and luminous ferns, he saw her, an alien woman struggling to climb over a fallen branch, her sleek, silver-blue hair catching the dim light. Ethan's heart raced. He had never met a sentient alien before. She was clearly intelligent, judging by the way she moved with caution and awareness. But she was also clearly in danger. Her movements betrayed exhaustion and fear. Without thinking, he ran toward her, calling out softly, "Hey, are you okay?" The alien froze, her large violet eyes widening in alarm. She spoke quickly in a language Ethan could not understand, her tone urgent but not threatening. He raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "I don't understand," he said slowly. "I'm human. I'm here to help." For a tense moment, she stared at him. Then cautiously, she pointed behind her. Ethan followed her gaze and saw what had frightened her, a pack of small predatory creatures with sharp claws and glowing eyes, creeping through the underbrush toward her. "Stay behind me," Ethan said. His training kicked in. He grabbed a long, sturdy branch from the forest floor, holding it like a staff. The creatures hissed as he stepped toward them, keeping his voice calm. He did not want to scare her more, but he needed to show strength. The creatures advanced, but Ethan was ready. With precise swings of his branch, he managed to scare them off. They scattered into the forest, their glowing eyes disappearing into the darkness. The alien woman blinked, her breathing heavy. Ethan lowered the branch and gave a small nod. "You're safe now," he said. She hesitated, then slowly stepped closer. She finally spoke in broken English, though her accent was thick. Thank you," she said. Ethan smiled, relieved that at least some communication was possible. "I'm Ethan," he said. "What's your name?" She paused. "Lyra," she replied. Lyra's gaze shifted around nervously as if the forest still held hidden threats. Ethan noticed her clothing was torn and dirty, evidence of a struggle. He realized she had been running for a long time. "Do you want to come with me?" he asked. "I can take you somewhere safe." Lyra nodded, but her eyes showed hesitation. Then she did something unexpected. She reached into a small pouch at her waist and pulled out a thin, glowing ribbon, which she offered to Ethan. He looked at it curiously. "This gift?" he asked. She nodded. "My people, when saved, thank with." "Gift?" Her voice was soft, almost shy. Ethan hesitated. He didn't fully understand the meaning of this ritual, but he could sense its importance. He accepted the ribbon carefully. "Thank you," he said, hoping that acknowledging it respectfully would be enough. Lyra's lips curved slightly, a hint of a smile. She seemed relieved that he had accepted the gesture. Then, without warning, she motioned for him to follow her. She moved with surprising speed, leading him through a winding path in the forest that he would never have found on his own. As they walked, Ethan studied her more closely. Lyra's skin shimmered faintly in the dim light, like the surface of water under moonlight. Her ears were slightly pointed, and her eyes reflected the strange colors of Zithera's flora. Despite her exotic appearance, there was something undeniably human in her expressions: fear, curiosity, gratitude. Finally, they reached a small clearing. In the center was a pool of crystal-clear water surrounded by smooth stones. Lyra stopped and gestured for Ethan to sit. He obeyed, unsure what was about to happen. She picked up another ribbon identical to the one she had given him and began moving it in a precise pattern in the air. Ethan watched, fascinated. The ribbon glowed brighter as she waved it, forming shapes that seemed almost like writing, though it was abstract and alien. "This, thank you ritual," she said, noticing his stare. "My people, we honor those who save lives, not with words, with action, with symbols." Ethan nodded slowly. He realized this was her culture's way of showing deep gratitude, something far beyond a simple thank you. It was an act of respect and recognition, acknowledging the courage and effort of the one who helped. He smiled. I understand, he said sincerely. It's beautiful. Lyra's eyes widened in surprise at his words. She seemed to relax, as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She set the ribbon down and gestured for Ethan to stand. Come, she said. I show you. My home. Safe. Ethan followed her, marveling at the alien forest. Strange plants stretched toward the sky, some with glowing petals, others with vines that moved slightly as if alive. The sounds of distant creatures echoed through the trees, creating a symphony of alien life. Despite the danger, there was a strange beauty to Zythera that Ethan could not deny. As they walked, Lyra told him about the threats that had forced her to flee. Her people were hunters, but not the kind that preyed on animals. They hunted resources and sometimes other settlements to survive. A rogue faction had attacked her village, leaving her stranded in the forest. Ethan listened carefully, realizing that this planet was more complex than any report could convey. Your people, they have conflict? Ethan asked. Lyra nodded, her expression grave. Yes, we sometimes fight. Not all agree. Some take too much. Ethan considered this. Humans had faced similar struggles, he thought, though hopefully with fewer deadly predators. He realized that helping Lyra might be just the beginning. There could be much larger challenges ahead. Eventually, they reached a cluster of small, dome-shaped structures made of a shimmering material that seemed alive. Lyra gestured toward one of them. Home. Safe, she said. Ethan stepped inside and was immediately struck by the warm glow of the interior. The walls pulsed softly, and the air was filled with the scent of sweet, unfamiliar flowers. Lyra's people had designed their homes to feel alive, connected to nature and protective at the same time. She offered him a seat and motioned for him to rest. Ethan noticed that she looked tired, her shoulders slumped. He realized that she had been running not just from predators but from fear, loneliness, and uncertainty. I thank you, Lyra said again, this time simply, without ritual or ceremony. Her eyes met his, and he could sense the sincerity behind her words. Ethan smiled. You don't need to thank me anymore, just be safe. For the first time, Lyra smiled fully, a small but genuine expression of relief. Ethan knew that the bond they had formed, however brief, was significant. It was proof that even across worlds and cultures, courage, empathy, and respect could create understanding. As night fell on Zythera, the glowing spores floating through the forest seemed to echo Ethan's thoughts. He had come here as an explorer, prepared for data collection and survival challenges. But he had discovered something more valuable, a connection, a sense of purpose, and the realization that humans could make a difference in worlds far beyond their own. Little did he know, the dangers of Zythera were far from over. The rogue faction that had attacked Lyra's village would not forget easily. And while Ethan had proven his courage today, he would need every ounce of ingenuity, bravery, and compassion if he hoped to protect Lyra, navigate the alien world, and face the challenges yet to come. But for now, in the soft glow of her home with Lyra safe and alive, he allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. He had helped, and for the first time on this strange planet, he felt that maybe humans could truly leave a mark, not through conquest but through courage, empathy, and understanding. And in that moment, the bond between a human and an alien, forged in the heart of danger and sealed with a gesture of gratitude, became the beginning of a story far larger than either of them could have imagined. The next morning, the forest of Zythera glowed with soft light as the twin suns rose over the horizon. Ethan woke to the sound of gentle movement outside the dome-shaped home. Peering out, he saw Lyra tending to strange plants that seemed to react to her presence. Their leaves and petals swayed and shimmered as she moved among them, almost as if the plants recognized her. Good morning, Ethan called softly. Not wanting to startle her, Lyra looked up, her violet eyes reflecting the early light. She nodded. You sleep well? Yes, thank you, Ethan replied. I didn't expect to sleep so peacefully on an alien planet. He smiled, then gestured toward the forest. Where are we exactly, and what's the danger out there? Lyra hesitated for a moment before speaking. This forest belongs to my people, but not safe all places. The rogue hunters. They take what they want. They attack anyone who stops them. Ethan nodded, processing her words. Rogue factions, dangerous predators, strange plants. It was clear that Zythera was not a simple planet, but he had faced dangerous situations before. and his training told him that careful observation and clever thinking could overcome even the most threatening circumstances. Lyra seemed to sense his determination. She gestured for him to follow her. "I show you where my people live, maybe you help." Ethan followed closely, his senses alert. The forest grew denser as they walked, the bioluminescent plants casting eerie shadows on the ground. Strange creatures peeked from the underbrush, curious but cautious. Ethan noticed that Lyra moved confidently, knowing which paths were safe and which were dangerous. Her familiarity with the terrain was invaluable. After a long walk, they arrived at a hidden valley. Small settlements dotted the landscape, constructed from the same shimmering material as Lyra's home. Some structures were connected by bridges of woven vines that glowed faintly, and water flowed through small canals, reflecting the alien light in sparkling patterns. It was a breathtaking sight, unlike anything Ethan had ever seen, but the beauty was deceptive. Ethan could see signs of recent conflict, burned areas of forest, damaged structures, and, most concerning, armed figures patrolling the outskirts. Lyra's people were on alert. "See danger?" Lyra whispered. "Yes," Ethan said quietly, "but maybe we can help prevent it." Lyra led him to a larger dome at the center of the settlement. Inside, elders of her people were gathered, their expressions serious. They regarded Ethan with curiosity and caution. "This human?" one elder asked in broken English. "Why, here." Lyra stepped forward. "He saved me. He trustworthy. He help us." The elders exchanged glances. One of them, taller than the others with eyes like polished amethyst, stepped forward. "If he is to help, he must understand our ways. This planet, dangerous. Not just creatures, not just hunters. There are rules, traditions, tests. Can he follow?" Ethan nodded firmly. "I can learn. I want to help. Tell me what I need to do." The elders studied him for a long moment, then gestured toward a table filled with maps, strange devices, and glowing artifacts. "First, learn. Understand forest. Understand hunters. Understand how we survive." Over the next hours, Ethan listened carefully. Lyra explained the forest, the hidden paths, the creatures, and the dangerous areas controlled by the rogue faction. She showed him symbols etched into trees and rocks, messages her people left for one another to navigate safely. Ethan was a fast learner, and soon he could recognize the signs and even anticipate some of the dangers. Then came the challenge. Lyra led him to a narrow canyon with steep cliffs on either side. "Rogue hunters sometimes pass here. You see first. Protect people." Ethan studied the canyon carefully. He could see footprints in disturbed soil, evidence that someone had passed recently. He realized this was more than a simple patrol. The rogue hunters were bold, moving close to the settlement to intimidate Lyra's people. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. Lyra followed, staying close but giving him space. The canyon was tight, and the glowing vines on the walls created shifting shadows. Ethan moved slowly, alert for any movement. Suddenly, a figure darted from the shadows, a young rogue scout likely unaware of Ethan's presence. Without hesitation, Ethan acted. He grabbed a nearby vine and swung himself, knocking the scout off balance and into a small side crevice. The scout scrambled back, frightened and uninjured, and ran off into the forest. Lyra watched with wide eyes. "You brave?" "Strong," she whispered. Ethan nodded. "We need to warn the settlement. They may send more scouts." Together they hurried back to the central dome. Ethan explained what he had seen, and the elders nodded gravely. "Yes, they test us. See who protects. You, human, can help." Lyra smiled at him, her expression a mixture of relief and pride. "You learn fast. You, human." Different, Ethan felt a quiet pride. He had come here as an explorer, unsure of what he would face, but now he realized humans could make a difference in ways more than just technology. Courage, quick thinking, and empathy mattered just as much, perhaps even more. That evening, the settlement gathered around a glowing fire in the central dome. Lyra performed a simple ritual to honor Ethan, not with anything intimate, but with a ceremonial gesture of gratitude. She presented him with a carved token, a small symbol of trust and friendship among her people. Ethan accepted it with respect, understanding that this gesture was more meaningful than any words. As they sat by the fire, Lyra spoke softly about her childhood, her training, and her hopes for peace among her people. Ethan listened, realizing how much humans and aliens could learn from one another. Despite differences in appearance, language, and culture, there were universal values, courage, loyalty, and the desire to protect those who could not protect themselves. Night fell over the valley, and Ethan stayed awake longer than usual, gazing at Zithra's twin moons rising over the horizon. He felt a connection forming, not just with Lyra, but with this strange, vibrant world. Humans had the ability to face the unknown, to adapt, and to bring hope where it was needed most. Suddenly, a soft alarm echoed through the settlement. Ethan and Lyra sprang to their feet. Outside, small lights blinked along the forest edge, more scouts from the rogue faction testing the settlement again. Ethan felt a rush of determination. "They won't scare us," he said firmly. "We'll protect them, together." Lyra nodded, her eyes shining with trust and confidence. "Yes, together." The elders quickly organized defensive positions. Ethan helped plan simple but clever strategies using the natural terrain, traps, and the glowing vines that could reveal movement in the dark. He realized that human ingenuity combined with Lyra's intimate knowledge of the land could give them a strong advantage. When the rogue scouts approached, they were met not with fear but with careful observation and strategic defense. Ethan and Lyra moved together, coordinating the settlement's response. The scouts, seeing the unexpected preparation, hesitated and eventually retreated into the forest. The settlement cheered quietly, knowing they had avoided conflict without unnecessary violence. Ethan felt a swell of pride. This was the essence of being human, using intelligence, courage, and collaboration to protect others. Later, as the settlement returned to calm, Lyra approached Ethan once more. "Your people, humans, strong in ways I never expect. Not just muscle, brain, heart. You help more than we see," Ethan smiled. "I've only just started to understand your world. There's so much I can learn and so much we can do together." Lyra nodded, her expression thoughtful. "Yes, together. Danger. Still come, but not with you. Hope." Ethan realized she was right. Zithra was beautiful, but the dangers were far from over. The rogue faction, the unpredictable creatures, and the challenges of a strange world would test him again and again. Yet for the first time on this planet, he felt that humans could truly make a difference, not through dominance, but through courage, understanding, and compassion. As he lay down that night, token in hand, he knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges. But he was ready. With Lyra by his side, and the trust of her people behind him, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. Humans could shine, even in the farthest reaches of the galaxy, if they faced the unknown with bravery and a willingness to help. And somewhere deep in the forest, beyond the soft glow of the settlement, the rogue faction was already planning their next move, unaware that a human had arrived who could turn the tide in unexpected ways. The next morning, the twin suns of Zithra rose over the forest, painting the landscape with soft golden and blue light. Ethan awoke to the subtle hum of life around the settlement. The glowing vines shimmered gently, and alien birds with translucent wings fluttered through the trees. He had grown used to the strange beauty of this world, but each day brought new surprises. Lyra was already awake, moving through the central dome with quiet purpose. She gestured for Ethan to follow her outside. "We prepare, they come again," she said, her voice calm but determined. Ethan followed, understanding immediately. The rogue faction would not give up easily. The scouts they had seen the night before were likely only testing the settlement's defenses. A larger attack could come at any moment, and he knew the people here needed more than courage. They needed strategy, and that was something humans were good at. Lyra led him to the edge of the settlement, where the terrain dropped sharply into a canyon filled with thick vegetation. "Best place. Ambush, high ground. Sci-Fi use. Tools." Ethan nodded. He quickly began observing the surroundings. The canyon walls were steep, but covered in vines and luminescent plants that could be used for camouflage. He spotted a few natural choke points where the rogue faction would have no choice but to pass. He explained his ideas to Lyra, who listened carefully, nodding with approval. Together, they set simple traps using the environment. Loose rocks balanced on vines that would roll down if triggered, natural thorny plants that could slow movement, and reflective leaves that could signal approaching threats. Each trap was non-lethal but effective at warning the settlement of danger. As they worked, Lyra told Ethan more about her people. We live careful. Forest, alive, respect all life. Some forget rogue. Take what want. No respect, no balance. Ethan listened closely. He admired the way her people valued life and harmony, even on a dangerous planet. Humans often struggled to do the same, but he realized that courage and compassion could cross worlds. By combining human ingenuity with Lyra's cultural knowledge, they could protect the settlement without unnecessary harm. By midday, the preparations were nearly complete. Ethan and Lyra climbed a small ridge overlooking the canyon. From this vantage point, they could see the settlement below, peaceful for now in the surrounding forest, tense with unseen threats. Wait, Lyra said suddenly, her ears twitching. Movement. North path, many. Coming. Ethan focused, spotting small figures moving swiftly through the forest. It was the rogue faction, larger than the scouts they had seen before. Ethan estimated at least 20 figures armed with long, sharp tools. They moved cautiously, aware of potential traps but determined to reach the settlement. This is it, Ethan said quietly. We need to slow them down. Use the traps, create confusion, then guide them away from the settlement. Lyra nodded. Yes, we protect all safe. They descended carefully into the canyon, positioning themselves near the first trap. Ethan gestured to Lyra. On my signal. When they reached the rocks, pull the vines. Lyra understood immediately. She crouched behind a thick bush, ready. Ethan counted silently, then pulled the first trigger. The rocks tumbled down the slope, startling the rogue faction. Some stumbled, others froze in confusion, giving the settlement more time to prepare. Ethan and Lyra moved quickly, signaling the next trap. The thorny plants slowed the intruders, while reflective leaves alerted the guards in the settlement. Using coordinated signals, they guided the rogue faction into a narrow ravine where movement was limited. Despite their careful planning, one rogue warrior tried to break through the defenses directly. Ethan reacted quickly, grabbing a thick vine and swinging it to block the intruder's path. The warrior slipped and fell, unharmed but forced to retreat. Lyra helped secure the area, her agility and knowledge of the terrain proving invaluable. The rogue faction, realizing their advantage was lost, began to retreat. Ethan watched as they disappeared into the forest, their glowing eyes fading from view. The settlement had been saved without violence thanks to strategy, quick thinking, and teamwork. Lyra exhaled deeply, relief washing over her features. Success. Thanks, human. You brave. Think fast. Ethan smiled, feeling a quiet pride. We worked together. That's what matters. The elders of the settlement approached, their expressions serious but respectful. You, human, helped more than we expect. You teach courage, wisdom. Your people, valuable. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. Humans often doubted their own worth compared to other species. But here on a distant planet he had proved that bravery, intelligence, and compassion could leave a mark. Later, Ethan and Lyra walked through the settlement, checking for damage and helping the villagers reinforce defenses. Children stared at Ethan with wide eyes, fascinated by the human who had saved them. Lyra smiled, explaining that his actions would be remembered and honored in their culture. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of violet and gold, Ethan and Lyra climbed to a hill overlooking the valley. The glowing lights of the settlement twinkled like stars, and the soft hum of the forest filled the air. Beautiful, Ethan said, taking in the view. Even with danger, there's so much life here. Lyra nodded. Yes, life. We protect, must live in balance. You helped balance today. Ethan realized that she was speaking not only of the rogue faction but of something larger, the delicate harmony of life on Zithera. Humans, he thought, could respect that balance while still making a difference. Suddenly, Lyra's ears twitched again. She froze, listening. Ethan followed her gaze, spotting a faint glow far in the distance. It was subtle, almost like a signal. What is it? Ethan asked. Lyra shook her head. I don't know. Not like hunters. Different. Signal, maybe. Warning. Or new danger. Ethan's pulse quickened. Zithera had already tested him, but it seemed there was more to come. He realized that every challenge was an opportunity to prove human ingenuity and courage. As they returned to the settlement, the token Lyra had given him earlier caught the light. Ethan held it tightly, feeling its weight, not as a physical object but as a symbol of trust and friendship. This bond, fragile yet strong, was his guide in an unfamiliar world. That night, the elders gathered the settlement to discuss the strange signal. Ethan suggested observing it carefully from a safe distance, combining human technology with Lyra's knowledge of the land. Together, they devised a plan. Scouts would investigate cautiously while the rest of the settlement remained prepared. Ethan realized that this was more than survival. It was leadership, strategy, and cooperation across species. Humans were capable of thinking quickly, adapting to unknown challenges and forming alliances in the most unlikely places. As he lay down to rest that night, Ethan reflected on the day's events. He had protected lives, solved problems, and earned the trust of an alien culture. He felt the quiet satisfaction that comes not from conquest, but from understanding, empathy, and courage. But the distant glow in the forest reminded him that Zithara was far from safe. New challenges awaited, and the rogue faction was only one part of a larger, more complex world. Yet he felt ready. Humans could shine even in alien worlds by combining intelligence, bravery, and a willingness to help. Lyra entered the dome quietly, sitting beside him. "Tomorrow, we face unknown, but together we strong," she said softly. Ethan nodded. "Yes, together. We protect, we learn, we survive. Humans can make a difference." As Zithara's twin moons rose high, their glow reflecting off the forest, Ethan felt a sense of purpose, stronger than anything he had known. He had come to this planet as an explorer, but he would stay as a protector, a friend, and a symbol of what humanity could achieve in the far reaches of space. And somewhere beyond the distant trees, the glow that had caught their attention pulsed gently, a warning, a challenge, or perhaps an opportunity. Ethan knew one thing for certain. He would face it, and humans would rise to the challenge no matter how strange or dangerous the world might be. Because that was what humanity did. The twin suns of Zithara had barely risen when Ethan and Lyra stood on the ridge overlooking the valley. The glow in the forest from the night before still pulsed faintly, a subtle warning that something new had arrived. This time Ethan felt no fear, only determination. He had faced danger before, but today would test everything he had learned: courage, strategy, and the ability to act quickly in an alien world. Lyra's violet eyes reflected both excitement and concern. "Not like hunters." "Different," she said. "Signal, stronger. Closer, maybe. Leader, or new threat," Ethan nodded. "Then we prepare. We know the land, we know the traps, and we know the people. Let's protect them." Together they returned to the settlement. The elders were already awake, gathering the villagers for instructions. Ethan shared his observations, pointing out the signal's direction and suggesting defensive positions. The elders listened carefully, recognizing the value of his human perspective. "Human, teach us new ways," one elder said. "We now trust your mind, as much as your courage." Ethan felt a quiet pride. Humans often doubted themselves compared to other species, but here, far from Earth, he could see the power of ingenuity, bravery, and cooperation. By midday, the settlement was ready. Scouts watched the forest edges, traps were positioned, and the villagers stood in carefully chosen locations. Ethan and Lyra took their place on the ridge, the perfect vantage point to observe and coordinate. Hours passed in tense silence. The glow in the forest grew brighter, moving toward the settlement. Ethan studied it carefully, realizing it was not just a signal. It was a group of large, armored figures moving silently but with purpose. Unlike the rogue scouts from before, these intruders were well coordinated and clearly trained. "They organized," Lyra whispered. "Not hunters, more dangerous," Ethan nodded. "Then we use the land. They may be strong, but we know every path, every trap. We have the advantage of knowledge and strategy." As the figures approached, Ethan signaled to the villagers. Using simple but effective tactics, they guided the intruders into narrow paths where their numbers were less useful. Rocks rolled, vines shifted, and reflective leaves flashed to alert the settlement. Each movement slowed the approaching threat without harming them, showing that humans could outthink opponents rather than simply overpower them. One armored figure tried to break through a trap, but Ethan reacted quickly, swinging a vine to block the path. The figure stumbled and fell, disoriented. Lyra used the moment to guide the rest of the group into another narrow path, giving the settlement more time to secure their defenses. Despite the tension, Ethan felt a sense of calm. Humans excelled at thinking under pressure, adapting to changing circumstances and using intelligence to solve problems. The alien intruders were strong and organized, but they were unprepared for the combination of human strategy and Lyra's knowledge of the land. Hours passed as the intruders tried various approaches, but Ethan and Lyra's coordination kept them at bay. The elders watched in awe, realizing that humans could bring new ways of thinking, new strategies, and new hope. Finally, the intruders retreated, unable to penetrate the settlement's defenses. The glow faded into the forest, leaving only the calm hum of Zithara's wildlife. The villagers cheered quietly, not out of triumph over violence but relief and gratitude. They had been protected without unnecessary harm. Lyra turned to Ethan, her eyes shining. You human. Saved many, not just me, not just village. You changed things, Ethan smiled. We work together, humans and your people. We protect, we learn, we survive. That's what matters. The elders approached, bowing slightly in respect. You human. Teach us courage, strategy, patience. You show value of mind, heart, together. Ethan felt a deep warmth. This was more than heroics. It was proof that humans could make a difference through intelligence, empathy, and collaboration. Across worlds, across species, these qualities were universal. That evening, the settlement held a ceremony to honor the efforts of everyone involved. Lyra presented Ethan with another token, this one larger and more intricate than the first. It symbolized trust, friendship, and respect, a permanent acknowledgement of the bond they had formed. Ethan accepted it humbly, understanding that this gesture held far more meaning than words could express. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of violet, gold, and green, Ethan and Lyra walked through the settlement. Children followed, curious about the human who had protected them. The villagers smiled, recognizing the courage and wisdom that humans could offer. Ethan reflected on how far he had come since arriving on Zithara. He had come as an explorer, unsure of what he would face. He had encountered danger, alien life, and unfamiliar cultures. But through courage, quick thinking, and respect for life, he had gained something far greater: trust, friendship, and a sense of purpose. Lyra spoke softly as they reached the edge of the valley. Tomorrow, we rebuild, strengthen, forest, protect all. You help again? Ethan nodded. Yes, humans don't give up. We face the unknown, learn, and help where we can. That's who we are. Lyra's smile widened. Yes, human. Different. Good different. My people. Learn from you. We better together. That night, Ethan sat outside, gazing at Zithara's twin moons reflecting off the forest canopy. The planet was alive, vibrant, and full of challenges, but he felt ready. Humans could shine not through domination, but through intelligence, empathy, courage, and collaboration. He thought of the rogue faction, the glowing signals, and the challenges that still lay ahead. Each obstacle was an opportunity for humans to show their unique strengths: adaptability, creativity, and the ability to inspire trust and cooperation. Lyra joined him, sitting quietly beside him. Future uncertain, but with you, hope, humans, can make difference, Ethan smiled. We already have, and we will continue, together. The twin moons cast a soft glow over the valley. The settlement hummed with quiet life, safe for now, but ready for whatever challenges the future might bring. Ethan knew this was only the beginning. Humans had the ability to bring hope and change not just on Zithara, but across the stars. In that moment, he felt a profound sense of pride and responsibility. He had faced the unknown, protected lives, and formed bonds across worlds. He had shown that humanity, even far from Earth, could rise to challenges, create understanding, and inspire trust. And somewhere deep in the forest, beyond the lights of the settlement, distant shadows stirred. New challenges would come, of that he was certain. But humans were ready. With courage, intelligence, and compassion, they could face the unknown and leave a mark that would be remembered for generations. Ethan rose, looking out over the valley. He held the tokens Lyra had given him tightly, symbols of trust and friendship. They were a reminder of what humans could achieve when they acted with courage, empathy, and wisdom. Lyra stood beside him, her eyes reflecting the glow of the moons. Tomorrow, we stronger. Together, protect all. Ethan nodded. Yes, together, humans can shine, even in the farthest reaches of the galaxy. And as the night settled over Zithra, Ethan felt a quiet confidence. He had arrived as an explorer, but he would stay as a protector, a friend, and a symbol of humanity's courage and ingenuity. Whatever dangers lay ahead, he knew this. Humans had the power to inspire, to protect, and to make a difference, no matter how strange or dangerous the world. The forest whispered around him, alive with unseen life, yet Ethan felt at peace. He had faced fear, uncertainty, and danger, and emerged not just unbroken, but stronger. Humans could adapt, survive, and thrive in the most unlikely places. And on Zithra, amid alien forests and glowing moons, that truth had never felt clearer.